Hello folks. Well, this time around what I want to take a look at are some of the different options that are commonly supported for Linux commands. Wildcards, -Rs, and that kind of thing that you're going to run into a lot. And I also want to take a quick look at the history mechanism that allows you to repeat commands that you use frequently, or variations on commands that you use frequently. So we'll take a look at both of these. We won't get too deep into anything, but we'll have a bit of an experiment. Hopefully it'll help. So a few of the most common options are things like the -R for recursive. So if you want to do something to everything in a directory instead of just a single file. The -I for interactive checks. So if you want to do things like have a command double check with you before you remove things, you know, confirmation, do you really want to remove this, do you really want to delete this, whatever it might be. Or things like the -V flag for verbose mode, where a command will give you the long version of any interaction with you. So these are some of the things that we'll have a little bit of a play with. We'll take a look at the history mechanism that allows you to repeat variations on commands. And we'll take a look at wildcards and globbing in bash. So first off, I want to go through a couple of the commonly supported options, just things that you're going to wind up working with a lot, and hopefully you've seen a lot of these before. We'll take a look at things like the -R option. So let's say we're in a directory someplace, and we've got a bunch of things in it. So in this case, I've got a progs subdirectory, a sumdir directory, a file, so we can show what's in those. Right, progs has got a whole bunch of stuff in it. Sumdir has got some stuff in it. Yeah, just a bunch of miscellaneous files here to play with the file system a bit, play with some of our commands. So if I want to just copy a file, right, I can do things like cp for copy and some file, and then whatever you want to call it, some copy. But if I try that with a directory, so let's say I decide that I want to copy my progs directory to, I don't know, create a backup directory. It yells at me because I can't use just copy by itself to copy a directory full of stuff. That's what this -R option is for, this recursive option. If I want to copy a directory and everything in it, it doesn't really matter where the -R goes, but I want to do a recursive copy. I want to copy my directory and everything in it into a new directory that I'm going to call backup. So if I take a look now in backup, I should see a copy of everything from progs. So this -R you're going to see is supported by a lot of commands where potentially you want to work on everything in a directory as well as just the directory itself. So -R, one of the common ones. The -I, again, interact, gets a command to get confirmation from the user before it does something destructive. Force -F can be used to override that. So if you say something like rm-f and a file name, you're basically saying, okay, don't ask me any questions, just do it, wipe it out. Verbose for more detailed messages. Those are probably the handful that you're going to run across most often. In terms of history and command repetition, you're going to find that there's a lot of times when you're running the same command or nearly the same command over and over and over and over again. Right? How often have you been editing a program and you edit it, compile it, run it, or edit it, you compile it, there's a bug. So you edit it, compile it, edit it, compile it, edit it, compile it. Finally compiles, okay, so you run it. And it doesn't do what you want, so it's back to edit, compile, edit, compile, edit. So you're running the same sets of commands over and over and over again. So the history command actually shows you a list of the commands that you've run recently, and it associates a number with each of them. If I type in 2 exclamation marks, then bash thinks I want to repeat the last command that I just did. So if I type in, how about I actually show you what I'm talking about? let's take a look at the history command. So if I type in history, yeah, let's do this. Type in history, it shows me all of the commands I've run recently with a number associated with them. Right, and so you can see my running history, forgetting to show it to you, running history again. Right, you get the idea. It shows you all these commands. If I type in 2 exclamation marks, it assumes I want to repeat a command that I just did. Right, so this will actually go through and rerun my history command. Let's do this. There we go. We see that it runs the history command all over again. If I type in the exclamation mark and a number, then it repeats that numbered command. So let's say I want to do my ls of backup again. So I say I want to run command number 306 again. It does that. Or I can say I want to run the clear command again. So I type in the exclamation mark and maybe the first couple of letters of the command, and Bash goes off and figures out which was the most recent command that began with those letters and runs the clear command for me. So there are a variety of different things that are available to you through the history to repeat commands. One of the things that can be handy is if you type in some really long, ugly command and you make a mistake in it and you want to rerun the command but fix the mistake. So let's say I run, I'm going to use a short one just because I'm lazy here, but say I run some command but I mistype it, and it tells me there's no such thing as history. So actually look at that and go, oops, I have a typo. I typed a P instead of a T. What I want to do is rerun the previous command. So I use the caret, the up arrow, and then the piece of it that I want to change, so let's say I wanted to rewrite the POR, and what I want to change it to, POT. So it reruns the command, but substitutes this new pattern for the old one. Oops. How about, what did I just do here? Oh. Oh my goodness. So the last one I ran was his spotty. Let's try fixing that and see if I can actually spell this time. So instead of P-O-T, I probably want T-O-R, huh? So we get history out of this. There we are. Okay. So if you can actually type, this will work. So we've got this history command and a whole variety of different things. Again, we're just kind of scratching the surface here. But it gives you a bunch of different ways that you can do repetitive things without having to completely retype long commands. So just something that might make your life a little bit more pleasant. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was the idea of wildcards. This is if you want to do some Googling on globbing, this is also kind of the name for what we're about to talk about here. You can use wildcards in your commands to specify a set of files that you're interested in. So the two most common that we'll take a look at are the asterisk or the question mark. So if I type in a command and use an asterisk, that can match pretty much any pattern. So if I just say ls star, it's going to match, well, it doesn't match things that begin with a dot, but it'll match all of the regular files in my current directories, all of the subdirectories in my directory as well. So ls star is basically saying list everything. Or if I want to say something like list everything in my prog directory progs directory rather, that begins with a P, I can say, well, list everything in, oh, good grief, I'm not showing you my commands again, I'm still showing you the stupid window. So let's do that again. ls star is saying show everything. If I want to say show everything in my progs directory that begins with a P, right, I can use prog/p star. And that lists everything that's in the progs directory that begins with the letter P. Right, so you can use the asterisk as a way to match entire classes of things. Let's go into the progs directory for just a second here. The question mark matches any single character. So if we just do an ls, right, here's everything that's in my progs directory. If I wanted to show everything that was of the form, prog something.cpp, a single letter.cpp, right, prog question mark.cpp, oops, how about we do an ls in front of that? Right, it shows me prog1.cpp and prog2.cpp. Right, again, that question mark matches any single character. If I said show everything that's prog and then something and then a .cpp, again, you'll get a slightly different set. In this case, the asterisk matched the 10-0 instead of just the 1 and the 2. So again, these wildcards let you specify groups of files that match some pattern. Again, not something that you particularly have to learn right away, but it is really handy. And as we get deeper into dealing with scripting and whatnot, it will become essential to work with. All right. I think that might be a good place to leave this for now. Next time around, we'll talk about some other weird and wonderful Linux features.